Yeah, hello. Welcome back to the grind. Here I am again on the 1989 Dodge W100 in the big shop. That's my TR7 there. Oh, back there, there's a, what do you call that thing? That's a, Mini Cooper, 2003 Mini Cooper. And there's a motorcycle here, right? Triumph 500cc. And this is the hovercraft, which one of these days I'll get back on that. And there's my old Mercedes-Benz. Oh yeah, there's another motorcycle over there. And back in the corner, there's another little Beluga. But this is a Honda Hilux. Anyway, on to the truck. So we've been on this for 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 episodes. So that'd be 7 weeks, wouldn't it? And I decided I'd go after getting the, I took a look at underneath, and it needed quite a bit of work in the flooring department. And it had, formerly it had Watch West work, he calls it structural floor mats. So they had to cut out all this stuff. And then the inside rocker panel, the previous owners replaced this outside rocker panel. That's pretty nice and solid, but it wasn't really fastened on that well. But they didn't ever do anything with the inside rocker panels, which are up in there. Hey? Now I've got them, that's all repaired. And this cross member, I made a new cross member in here. They've got a cross member built on the other side, which I don't think is quite good enough. Anyway, and also the motor mounts. This is the motor mount stuff, or not motor mount, this is a cab mount right here. And so I've got new rubbers and stuff coming for that. So I'll save that for the next episode. And lots of welding, lots of, bending metal and shaping metal and getting stuff to fit in. And then just filling in these little bits of flooring and of course the one thing that's fairly important, the seat belt was flapping in the wind. So that's that's all back together and in good condition again. So I'm happy with the progress. So stick around, see everything that happened, and enjoy it all. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Yeah, so here I am, back at it. On to the welding of the Dodge, right? Welding underneath. Upside down welding, my favorite. Anyway, but I brought over the gas welder because I got tired of getting splattered on with the little guy. That flux core welding works well, except it sure does splatter. So it's good to be above it instead of below it. And it's good for out in the wind because it doesn't, the shielding gas doesn't get blown away. But if you're inside, which I am now, and in the shelter and upside down, gas welding is quite a bit nicer. Okay, so I'll carry on with that. This welder here, I set it's on Smart MIG, and so I set it up at, that's 210 feet per minute or whatever it is, and then meters per hour or whatever it is. Anyhow, and then I put it at 20 gauge on this. And although I'm using 18 gauge, I'm sticking it to 20 gauge, so I just put it right at the join between 20 gauge and 18 gauge. And then I turn this, like this dial here, which is sort of a heat control. So this one here gives you, put it over this way, it gives you a bit flatter weld, so a bit hotter. That seems to work most of the time for this kind of welding underneath here. Yeah, there's the next strip of metal, and I put a coat of paint on the back side. Other side, no paint on there yet. But I'll get it onto the car, but I'll let it dry off a little bit before I start doing that, because otherwise get drippy drip paints, right? So in the meantime, I could either make another piece of metal down there, or else see if I can get this carpeting out of the way. You can't see very well in here, but take off this panel here, a few screws, I hope, and then see what happens. Yeah, that panel came off easy, no problems. And yeah, here's where your structural floor mat goes. Well, it looks like it's okay after this here. I think I'll get the vacuum cleaner out before I get everything on me. Yeah, so here we are. Now, there's the hole, right? That all sounds pretty good over there. I don't think that's a problem over there, just surface rust. Well, not rusted through. So I'll fix this later. And then there's a couple of spots just right here. You see underneath the seam sealer there, it's not seam sealed. Okay, I think that's from the guys when they put this on, the outer, whatever you call this thing, the rocker panel. I don't think they did a complete job. I think they just slapped it on there. I don't know whether it's in here or glued in here, because that same thing over there on that stuff, I don't know if that's just glued on or if it's on or what. I'll take a grinder and grind a bit off someday and see. There's proof positive that you never have enough vice grips. And I got a few more pairs just in case. I think I can start welding on this now. That'll sit on there okay. And I'll get the top done first, because if the top's done, then the bottom will just sit where it sits. That's okay. Yeah, dog is barking mad out there. Anyhow, that might hold it together for a little while. I got this plug welded down here. This one here that one needs fixing. That one could use a bit of fixing. But mostly they're all right. I'll check the outside seats. Oh, tough to get out here. Now that light's right in your eyes. Slow it down this way. Yeah, it looks like decent penetration cut right through there. See? So those are welded well. Okay. I'll see what's happening with the dog. Yeah, so I figured I'd do one repair underneath, which I've got done more or less. And then I'll do a repair above here. So there's a fairly gaping hole there. I think that stuff is okay over there. Maybe I'll get the needle scaler and just give that a good quick rub. This thing here, I can see how these other guys, like they just tack welded this thing on all the way along here. I guess that's a good way to say it, eh? Don't know if I can get that cleaned up or not. Maybe I can. Anyhow, we'll cut out this bit here and put in a new bit. I think everything else is sort of okay up here, but I'll get the needle scaler and give it a roll. Yeah, here's the needle scaler. You can get the light over there. I'll just give this stuff here a bit of a roll. Yeah, so needle scaler doesn't lie. Some right there, and well, this part here that I knew about. Then along this edge here is suspect. So maybe I'll see what I can do about fixing that up. I'll just do little patches at a time. One right here. I'll do another one right about here somewhere. Maybe one right up there. Okay, see what I can come up with. Okay, here's the first piece to put in here. I just made a piece like that so that it'll cover that hole, and then I'll weld this together. I think I'll make a couple of holes in here and make some plug welds to it. And then I'll, what do you call that, lap weld it to the bottom here. That should make it plenty strong again. Then I'll make a piece. It's got a little bit of a bend on it there, and then patch that hole up here. Yeah, let's see if my head gets in the way here. I don't know. Yeah, that looks a bit better than it was before. I'll knock the tops off those things. Now I did paint on the inside of that, and now I'm going to see about, I'll go underneath again and do the lap weld in here. And that should make it strong enough. Then I'll have to do a little bit of hammering there first, just to bring that down. Yeah, there. It's hot still up there somewhere. Can you see me? Yeah, you must. If you can see me, you can see the weld. Yeah, right along here. Anyway, that worked, and that worked. So now I'll just make this little piece to go in here. Yeah, so I tacked it here, and then I just cut it around here, and then I'll sort of do kind of like a cut and butt, but not quite. Sort of a cut and fit cut and butt, right? Anyway, I'll tack it right there first, then see if I can get this corner down, and then get the rest of this to sit flat. Okay, there we go. That piece is in, and you saw that. Then I just did this little one here, and it welded to that okay. And this part here is, you know, ugly, but it'll be good for a floor. I'm going to cover it over with seam sealer or something like that. Now, I think my plan is for this bit here, I think I have to do quite a bit here, right out to here kind of idea. So I think my plan is to just cut this bit, do it up to here, put a piece right in there, from there to there, thereabouts. That'll get rid of that rust. Then I'll worry about that side over there. Okay, so I went to town cutting stuff out, so it's all cut out here and a little bit right over there too. This is okay. This is the body mount, cab mount underneath here. A little bit worse for the wear that is. I don't know what I'll do about that yet. I'll think about it. I think it's still holding fine, so I might just reinforce it all. Or I don't think I could ever get that out of there. Anyway, we'll just see. This needs a little bit of work here, but not bad. That stuff there, that there. The frame is okay underneath there. And this frame is okay. So I'll fix that up somehow or other. Likely weld clean it up and then weld some reinforcement onto it on top here. But that, I think it's hard to say what goes on there. I'll clean that up tomorrow. Anyhow, that's enough today. I've fixed it here, destroyed it here. Hey, okay, carry on. Yeah, sometimes these old trucks, there's stuff that you can ignore, and then there's stuff you shouldn't really ignore. This is one of the things you should not ignore. So I'll see if I can get that out of there. I ordered some new body mounts for it on the Amazon, just the rubbers, so I'll have to find some bolts that are the right size. Don't even know what size that is. I'll figure that out pretty soon. Okay. Yeah, I've got some M12 1.75. Yeah, M12 1.5 I think they are, yeah. So I'll take that out of there. I'll put this in and then get it so that it's solid up top here. And then what'll I do? When the new parts, when the bushings arrive for that down below, I'll take it apart and put the new stuff in. I imagine I'll have to do the same on the other side. Anyway, this is coming out. Yeah, I got it to start turning. Now I think it's doing the old twist-a-rooney there. Let me get a wrench and see. Whoops! Yeah, there you go. So this twisting that whole thing there. Now I'll get a pair of pliers or something on that. See if I can get that to come out. Yeah, I think it'll come okay if I have that on there. And got the big old impact wrench going. And the way I got it to come free was I put some heat to the top end here. Put some heat on that. And then down here, this was binding on the rubber, which is fine. And so I just took my hammer gun, more Star Wars equipment, right? Looks like it. And I just hammered around on this washer here with that thing, with the automatic, whatever you call that, impact hammer. And then, don't you know, lo and behold, it came free. With the impact gun, and then it twisted around pretty close all the way around. So that means that it's free inside there too. That bolt might be okay. Right around there somewhere. See what happens if this comes out. Apparently it came out. There's what was holding it on the other side. Not much of that left. But not as bad as what I thought it was. So, see if this will come out of here. Maybe that'll get all the dirt out of it, right? Used to be a washer in there, I think. Yeah, I guess it needs new of these. That bolt I might be able to use. Find a nut for it. I don't know if that rust or is that... Don't know what's supposed to be there. Okay. This part here is okay. That's okay. That part's okay. It needs, like, I can take that bit of yucco off there. But you can see that it was protected for all that time underneath there. So I have to do some framework here. I'll take a look at the other side and see what's going on out there. And this thing here needs to be just connected. Maybe it was never connected. That maybe doesn't matter. I'll look at the other side. Here's this thing. That looks like the way it was originally. So what I'll do is I'll find I'll take a piece of 1/8 inch steel and I'll make one of these things. That's all it takes, and weld a nut to it. And there's this bolt here is long enough, and it'll come with these bushings on there when the new rubbers arrive. So that's good. Okay. That should be... I was thinking of welding this thing down on there, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just do it the same way they had it. Make a piece like this that you can grab with a wrench or something. And that would be fine. It's even adjustable a bit right there, eh? So you can move it back and forth. So you don't need to be welding onto that. Am I pointing the right way? Not likely. There's a big adjustment here. So if I lift up, I can lift up on the cab now, and that would release that. And okay, I think we got her figured. I'll start working on rebuilding this stuff. Okay, I'm underneath now. So here's this front edge of it. Make it, boy oh boy. Can you tell where I am here now? From up above, I don't know if you can tell, there's the motor mount part. This thing here is the wall, and that front edge, it's got to be, see if I can get some light here and explain this. Okay, so it comes across here, and then it comes over about this far, and it's boxed in here and up to that, I imagine. Well, no, I imagine it goes right up to the floor, and then this box comes along here, right along from there over to here, and that boxes that all in right down to here, and that should all come together okay. So I'll start building, oops, I'll start building this bit over here, cut that off, the bad bits, and then just start making it one piece at a time. I think I have to make that, this part here where my hand is, I have to make that sort of first because it kind of denotes where everything else goes. This has got to come down all the way to here. So I'll see if I can get all this old yuck cut out of there so I can weld on new stuff. Okay, I'm going to be starting to cut. So this chunk of floor, which is deemed to be good, I'm going to cut it along this edge here and take it out there so that I can more easily manage getting this thing fixed in here down underneath there. Anyhow, that's what I'm going to start doing. Yeah, here I go. That one there is a pretty good piece of metal. It's just at that part there. But anyway, it's out of there. This has to come off right here. That's gone. Could you see that? Then this stuff here, see if I can get in a bit close. Well, I'll have to just grind that. Maybe I'll just leave that lip on there. I'll grind that off with the grinder. Then this bit here, now that's mostly cleaned up. I don't know what I'll do. I'll see if I can get in there and cut that little bit out so I can put a piece in. And down in here, there's I might just happily ignore that in there because I can't really get to it without really chopping things apart. But I can put a new wall down here, and I can cut this thing here back. I'll cut that bit out there off there. Okay, so the first piece that goes in is I'll put this piece along here and then plug weld it onto there. That will make this, that's a strength piece in there of some sort, and that just finishes that off for the corner. Then next I have to make a box, well, kind of a box, comes across here and then down, but this has got that curve on it up here. We'll figure that out as I go. Okay, for first off, got to do plug holes in there and then I'll weld it on. Okay, that piece is welded in and plug welded on the bottom there to the rocker panels. That rocker panel is starting to get pretty tough now. Now I need to make a kind of a box that goes here, out to here, and along to there, and then fills in all of that. See what I can do about that. Yeah, so this piece might be kind of interesting because I'm just starting with a big square, right? Well, not too big, but from here to here to here. Then it's going to get a flange over on the top of it, about that much. Then I'll cut the edge along that flange so that I can twist that up, and then I'll put a filler in between there, and that'll make it so that it follows the curve the way that the floor goes. Anyhow, but I'll show you as I go along. So I'll cut it with a plasma cutter, I hope. Starting to get burnt here. Oh well. Yeah, so the flange at the top is about that wide. Like that. And it's a 90, right? So there. Close enough. So I put that on. Now I'm going to cut this along here to about there somewhere, but I'll measure that, and then from here I'll measure it to there, and then this gets bent up to follow the floor, and I'll fill in a piece in here. Here now, see, I need to make a piece. Well, let me see what I've got done here. I got this cut out so it'll fit around the front. This will go right down to the bottom, and then this will fill in that gap on top. And I put that little flange on there. I just welded it on to meet up with the rocker panel top. Then this thing here will follow the curve of the truck. There's a bunch of brazing up in this area here. So, and it was all just seam filler before, so I'll get this cut into here, and then I'll be able to weld it to about here somewhere. And then I'll just put some seam filler in there to keep it going. This will get filled with a piece of angle that'll pick out of here somehow. Then we'll go from there. There, that piece kind of fits in there, and I'll go weld it together and see, well, I'll tack it together and then see how it fits. Yeah, that's not a bad fit. I'll weld this up and clean it up, and then see about getting that put on there. Yeah, there. Now I welded inside and out. I'm just going to leave the inside alone after I get it, but I'm going to grind off the outside so it looks like it wasn't done. Okay, see what I can do. Yeah, so there's my little panel, and I did the plug holes down here. I've got plug holes on the truck side for the top here. That turned out not bad. Not perfect, of course, but not bad. Then I'll see about getting it fitted on. This end up here has to be sort of bent in a bit. I think I'm going to do a little bit of work on that before I got to paint the back of it. And by the way, this is attempt number 2 on this panel. The first time I made it, I was supposed to cut from here to here to put this bend in, and I cut from here to here instead. So I've saved that piece of metal for something else. And I'll see if I can get this sort of bent. It's got to bent down and back again. Let's see what I can do about that. Yeah, there you go. That's enough for today. I did bend this down, and then I found out it doesn't have to be bent. And I straightened it out again. So that fits in, and I'll weld it in tomorrow. The back of it's painted, and all the stuff on the inside there is painted. So that'll be tomorrow's project. So see you then. Yeah, I have to wait a bit for this thing to catch up. It has, yeah, there. Now it's connected to this device right here. Can you see that? Don't know what noise it made there. Anyway, I've got one of these microphone things. Now, my experience with the microphone things is that lots of people use them, and they actually make the sound an awful lot better. But sometimes all you get is a you know, you get too close to it and all that happens. So I'll see if I can avoid that happening and see if we can get it to work for us. Okay, I'll carry on. Back to welding. Yeah, so yesterday when I left off, it was this piece here was the microphone on this waits a while before it checks on. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, but this part here was the ready to go in. So it goes right here like that. So I'll see what I can do about getting that in there like that, right? And that should be all right. Okay, I'll just do that. I think it's okay. Here we are. Anyhow, I've got this welded in on this side over here and down through there. Now, the next thing I have to do is, this is not exceptionally pretty, but it'll be all right. It's plenty solid. I have to do something about that right there, but later. I want to make a piece to go across here, but first I'll clean up this a little bit here. And then it's just a box that goes in about that wide right there. So I'll make a box to go in there, and it should come up to this same level as the floor, hey? Right there. This would be where the floor starts to bend up. So I think not really sure where it meets in here, but I think it only goes to here. Might have been used to be connected to this, and maybe I'll make it connect to this again somehow or other. See what I can do. Yeah, so first thing I've done is just a little piece of metal right in there, right there to make it, what do you call that? Make it a good fit from this edge. And I'm going to go and then now just trim that up so it's nice and straight. Put a piece along here maybe. Fill in that bit there, but I'll clean up that a bit first. Over there. Yeah, okay, now that's welded up together. It's a pretty ugly, and I'm not even going to do anything about it, just I'll paint over it after a while. And then now I'll build a box here to go from here to here and across there, and I've fixed up like that hole there. I fixed up that hole there. I just drilled it out so that we have a drainage there. Won't gather water all the time. And then I did a plug weld here to the frame bit, so it's all solid. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's the floor piece in. I put a flange down underneath there, right? And this will go around and that'll butt onto here. This is okay up here. Now I need to make a piece that goes flat across here to here, or from here to here about there, and then have that angle on it down there, which I'll cut out, and then I'll weld those two pieces together, and that'll be a good box. Anyway, that's enough for today. I'll come back tomorrow and get at it again. So I've got it sort of figured out how to make that piece, so I'll show you tomorrow. Yeah, okay, here you are. All you guys with dull drill bits like I have. Okay, here's how I do it at home. Here's a big nut, and if you square that up on there, then this side is 30 degrees, which is what you want to, like that's the angle you want to be on for sharpening, give or take. The hardest part about sharpening a drill at home is that to keep both sides the same angle and to make the point come out in the middle. So what I do is I just turn on the machine. Now I've got to move you over here because I've got my elbow in there. Looking somewhere in the right place. Yeah. And then see this line here, so you keep your line lined up. Make this part, can you see that part flat, and then just scoop it up. keep count of how many times you do it. And there. That's a nice sharp drill. Anyhow, and if you get it wrong, oh, just sharpen it again. What the hell? So you keep count. I count them up 4 times of scoops, and then turn it over 4 times of scoops, and then if it comes out even like that, see how that's nice and even? I don't worry too much about the tip, because usually for big drills like this, I drill in a pilot hole all the time anyhow. And then I might work up sizes also, so it's all works out. Yeah, there I just put a little tiny tack there to hold that in place whilst I've got a piece of paper. Wait, I'll show you. Oh, hard paper to make a beginning template from. So I guess I have to cut this up here. Hang on. Maybe I can just bend that. Be about like that, right? Try that. So then I'll make a piece of metal that looks a little bit like that, and then we'll see if it'll fit in. There you go. Now I did a bunch of cutting and fitting, and I just tacked that together there. Now see if I can get this apart. Pull this out of here. I got it in there too solid, but I'll just go down and cut that from underneath, and then it should come out, and I'll be able to get it back, put it back in there. And that won't be perfect, but it certainly will be a lot better than what it was. So I think we'll be kind of happy with it. Then I'll get it all welded in. Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Here's a piece. And so I made it look nice on the outside. I should just give that a bit of a grind there, eh? Maybe a little. Good penetration. Anyway, it's welded on the inside, then I welded that seam on the outside and grinded it off. And then now it sits into the car like that. And should come out to be close to right. We'll see. Okay, I'll get it in and I'll show you. Yeah, I'm set to put it in. I hope I made it just a bit longer in the front here because of just to make it so it overlapped that a bit more. Then that goes about there, and that goes about there. I think that's about the spot. Mark X. Yeah.
that's about where it fits, and then this will sit right on there, so that's okay. That might need a bit of pounding. And it'll sit on there, so that's good. Okay, so I'll just get it all welded in and welded up. This thing here, just got to pound that down a bit with a hammer, I think. See what happens. Then all sorts of different pliers. Yeah, I'm just about to it. There we go. Sometimes I'm not tough enough for these pliers. Okay, I'll weld it around. Yeah, there. So that's all in there now. I welded this from the outside, welded that from the inside, welded this from the inside. That's from the inside. That's from the outside. You know, all the way along. But that'll make a good solid base for the floor. Now I can put a floor on. Interesting. Okay, I'll work on that next, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, so I'm going to work next on building one of these things for, what do you call it? For the cab mount. And that just goes on there, and you can reach into there from above. There'll be a hole here to reach down, whereas right here used to be like that there. So you could reach down in there and work on that. So that's what will happen again soon. Then now that actually, I'm pretty happy with that, because that'll make, that's very solid, and it's all down here is fixed. Everything is. Now I still have to do the back brace from underneath there, but maybe I'll do that before I put the floor in. That will give me a chance for the parts to arrive for the floor, but I'll make this thing here, this thing next. I've got a piece of steel in there that I can use. Yeah, so there's the piece. I don't know how. I got this thick piece. I have this thing for measuring steel here. Let's see. Bigger than that. That one there, whatever that is. 3/16 inch. So I'll just cut it there, 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 there. Then I'll drill a hole, weld the nut on it in the middle. Yeah, there's the new thing, whatever you call this thing, holder for the body mount. So I'll weld it along, I'll just tack it on there, and then I'll take the bolt out and get it welded on well, welded on properly. Yeah, see what happens here, hey? Oh yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I'll get back with you. Yeah, I'll see if I can do it without dropping you on the ground again. That should hold it together. I might have to grind off some of that stuff up high so I can get a wrench on it. We'll just see. Okay, so here's my little item for holding on to the cab. It just sits there like that. Should have made it a different color maybe so that I could tell the difference between it and the cab when I'm looking in from above. Oh well, it'll be fine. Now I just painted the inside of that black so that it'd be a little bit, help it with the rusting, eh? And that's basically done up there. I'm kind of happy with it. It's all, should work just fine. Then the next thing is back here on this end where the, that right in there, can you see that? Somewhere up in there. I'll see if I can fix that next. Yeah, oh, something I wanted to show you. Hang on. Yeah, there, everything's completed in here on the bottom part, right? And I painted that thing, the fastener for the cab mount. I painted it white so I can be able to see it. Like it'll go right about there somewhere. And when this is on there, I'll be able to see it. And you can get a socket on that thing to hold it, so that's good. Then underneath here, oh, get down here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is all finished enclosing it. Wait a minute, I get down here. That's all done. That needed repair there. I left the gap in here so it'll drain. And then over here, all the way I painted it. We just put some black paint on it, keep it rusting. Most of the stuff on the inside I painted before I welded it, but I forgot a couple of spots, so I don't know. Like the back side of this piece right here didn't get painted. Oh well. But everything else is painted up, and so that will hold back the rust for a couple of days, maybe. Okay, see you later. That's all for today. Well, into the dark I am here. So I think that I'll cut it off here today at that. So I've got this ready to put the floor in. A little bit of cleanup to do there. And this underneath here is all, I don't know if you can see any of that, but it's all finished up, eh? All along the inner cutter, the inner, what do you call that? Rocker panel, inside and outside is fixed. That's good. I'm quite happy with that. And the seat belt is back to being a seat belt instead of just something flapping around there. Anyway, so next week I'll get on getting that floor in and likely start on the other side. I'm not sure what's happening on the other side. I haven't looked there yet. But for now, that's good. So hope you
enjoyed it all. And come on back for more. Make sure, like, maybe subscribe, maybe not. See what happens. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Yeah, so here's something I don't get to see very often. I'm at the beach. Well, here I am, right at the beach. And that's the Norwegian something or other. Norwegian Emerald, maybe? One of those boats. I can just about read it from here already. Heading into Charlottetown. There's already one ship in there, just a smaller one, but this guy here is pretty big. Me and maybe 3,000 of my best friends on there, right? Yeah, and there's a whole gaggle of geese following that boat along. Those guys are going the wrong way if they're going to go south. I guess they're going to come right over my head here. Ah, they made the turn. Figured it out. South is that way. Oh, now there's the big old ship heading right in through the narrows there. It'll disappear behind the cliff. Yeah, there you go. I think Norwegian Gem is what it is, but I'll check on that later. And likely won't update, but you never know. That's a pretty big boat. Yeah, there you go. That's enough excitement for one day, right? Disappears behind the cliff. See you later.